Welcome to the top 5 decks of March 2022. Don't be like the 33.8% of you guys that have not supported this channel ever and smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so we can get to 102,000. It's the least that you guys can do for me, right? Number 1 on our list here is going to be Dragon Link. Now, the reason why I'm putting Dragon Link still in the top 5 after everything that has happened out of the formats here and not having such a crazy high representation here, this deck does get access to the Brave engine. I'm going to be very clear about going forward here in the rest of this video that Brave is the defining point of this format. Alright, anything that can take advantage of Brave is absolutely going to have one step above the rest of the competition here. So let's get that out of the way here. Dragon Link still makes Dragon Link boards. Alright, you guys have to deal with the Hot Red Dragon. You guys still have to deal with all of this craziness, but they can use the Brave engine as stepping stones to do some bigger synchro plays, setting up Omni Negates, so you don't get Nibiru'd. Alright, and it's all off of one card, ladies and gentlemen. So that's gonna be a very static thing also across this video here, is that Omni Negate protection is a massive blowout that a lot of decks will not be able to handle. And with that being said, that's not necessarily a bad thing, ladies and gentlemen, but that's the industry standard for this format. So on entry level into what I would consider the gatekeeping big 5 here is, yes, Dragon Link still does what Dragon Link does, but the problem with this sitting at this low in the big 5 is you do need to be a semi-competent player with this. I'm not saying that every average duelist out here can pick up Dragon Link and be like, yeah, I'm the best. No, that's not what I'm saying here. The deck still has a semi-high skill level, and it will still punish bad players for being uneducated. I mean, that's Yu-Gi-Oh! 101, to be perfectly honest with you guys, but from where I'm sitting at this point in time, that's your biggest thing to really deal with. Alright, so yes, Dragon Link at number 5. Next up here is Phantom Knights. Well, Robbie, I've heard countless videos about you talking about Scythelock, and haha, you big old fat loser, Scythelock's not the best deck in the room. Yeah, okay, I was wrong, okay. Does that mean that Phantom Knight's not a top 5 deck? Nah, you absolutely munching out here on the Crayola crayons if you think that Phantom Knights is not a top 5. Alright, I absolutely still stand by the fact that this deck's level of insanity that it can produce in this modern era format here is one that you should take very seriously. If you underestimate what this deck can do, you deserve to lose every single time. Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer is massively unfun. Yeah, I get it. I understand that the Scythelock puts a huge damper on the format, but its existence is something that you should not detour from. Alright, you just need to be aware that the boards that Phantom Knights put up are a big threat, and the biggest thing that we have going for us against Phantom Knights is the deck's greatest weakness is itself. Consistency against itself is a real big thing, ladies and gentlemen. When you have a deck that can brick about as much as Phantom Knights does, especially in like a 11 round event here. Now, if you're playing something like a 5-6 round locals, hey, you're going to have more success. Alright, we've seen that with Odotics in the past here, where a deck that can have massive inconsistency issues, it's just got to hit a good 4-0 day and it can tear through things. It's kind of high rolly at the end of the day, but I still think that this deck is a massive threat, and it seems to curve out a lot of the rest of the metagame at the end of the day. Once again, they also get access to the Brave package. Wow, it's almost like a generic card engine that rounds out the already powerful engines is good. Yay! Anybody surprised about that? No. Next up here is Virtual World. Now, why is Virtual World suddenly jumping up so high through the ranks here? Now, there are 2 builds to Virtual World. I want to put this out there. You have the Punk engine, which doesn't see as much play as the better version at this point in time, which would be the Adventure package. But considering the fact you can balance both of these builds here, Virtual World gets pretty good things here. Now, Virtual World with the Punk Engine just gives you a little bit better of a backbone for the Psychic cards. Alright, you get access to putting better options on the field at some points, but because the Punk Engine can end up on some bricky builds, a lot of people haven't really gone down that path. That's not saying that this particular build has not had success, because it has. It's topped a few case tournaments here and there. But on the flip side of things, once again, you have another deck that gets the Adventurer package. Whoop-de-doo! I got a free level 4 on my field, and I got a free level 7 on my field. It'd be a real shame if I synchro shoguned with those. So you can use those as a resource. You can use those to set up for hand trap protection. You guys notice something here? I just once again want to reiterate the fact here, ladies and gentlemen, that yeah, you got hand trap protection on your field. That means your opponent's going to have to open up 2 hand traps if they're playing hand traps. You know, I'm not saying that we're not stirring away from a format where hand traps have a little bit less impact, but droplets is lingering around every sort of corner here. Alright, do keep that in mind. Alright, so VW massively taking off here. Definitely being one of the more heavy contenders. You can interchange Phantom Knights and Dragon Link in Virtual World in any sort of order that you want for this top cut. Alright, they can be 3, 4, or 5 in any order that you want. Next up here, I think number 2 has to be Praying Kids. Now, Praying Kids at this point in time is a very, very interesting deck, because once again, they got the Brave Engine. Oh my god, I love emphasizing that. Hand trap protection. Yay! I love it. Alright. You have also 1-card engines. Go, 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 go. So what makes this deck better than, you know, say, Invoked at this point in time? Well, since this deck can 1-card starter and do whatever the heck it wants and not care about what's happening across the table, you know, that's where your advantage lies. Alright, plus, you know how many hand traps you can... Your opponent setting up a Griffin, you don't care. Alright, hand traps the deck. That's the entire point of this deck, I feel like, at the end of the day here. Now, I want to include a disclaimer here before we get into the top decks. I understand that Drytron, Flunderies, DDD, Sword Soul, and Sky Striker exist. They're going to be in a different video over here. So before you're all like, where the heck are these other decks? And before you're also like, well, wait a minute, you haven't mentioned like the crazy turnover of these other lists. You know, you're probably like, oh my god, like this list isn't accurate. Now, I want to make a blanket statement here for what I am considering the strongest of the mold right now for the meta. Understand that the top 3 decks, yeah, I know, right? This is the top 5. I've given you Praying Kids, Virtual World, Phantom Knights, and Dragon Link at this point in time. The top end of this format right now is all Synchro Toolbox decks. Now, within the realm of what we're going to group together as the 3 cluster decks, which is going to be Brave Synchro Tenyi, the based cluster pile that won the YCS, the Noah Punk Adventure pile, Cyverse Eldritch Good Stuff deck. Do you see the thing that's in common between all 3 of these decks? These decks are multiple combination engine decks that have the strong backing of Cyverse. Just kidding. They have the strong backing of Adventure. Yay! Because all 3 of these decks can take advantage of the Adventure engine, taking advantage of all 3 engines and ending on these dominating powerhouse boards of Destroyer, Phoenix Enforcer, Scythe, all of these like Synchro Toolbox packages as well here. You know, the reason why I'm including these is because all 3 of these decks at the end of the day have the same end goal. They want to set up big Omni-Negate boards, big interruptions, and they're going to climb through massive hoops that a lot of people would really consider crazy. Like Cyverse Eldritch uses the Eldritch package to protect their big investment board. The big synchro decks between Tenyi and the based deck, as they're calling it here, from winning the YCS, also do the same thing. They are all doing the same thing at the end of the day. I mean, that's just Yu-Gi-Oh! In a nutshell at this point, but me and Lund were talking about before I filmed this video that they do kind of the same thing. They set up this big board, they use the adventure package and all their tools to climb up, And all three decks are just kind of doing the same thing at the end of the day. You just kind of pick your poison. Do you want to play Brave Tenyi? Do you want to play, the base deck? Do you want to play Cyberse Eldritch at the end of the day? All three will meet those globalized demands for power scaling for this format. Welcome to the era of the pile of cards. We're putting the pile in first place as the best deck in the format. Grab your engines, everybody. It's time to play some Yu-Gi-Oh! Guys, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. We'll talk more about Drytron, Flunderies, and some of these other decks later on when we get to the lower half of the Tier 1 decks for you guys. Peace out, guys. Have a good rest of your day. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.